That's about India's intelligence agencies and whether they should be under parliamentary scrutiny and have their finances audited by the CNAG. Now, a PIL that's been filed in the Supreme Court by Mr. Prashant Bhushan's NGO says that it's time for greater transparency. The court has issued notices to the centre on this, but insiders say that there is already enough oversight.
An old debate on the functioning of Indian intelligence agencies, the Supreme Court on Monday sent notices to the centre asking why agencies like the Intelligence Bureau, the Research and Analysis Wing and the NTRO should not be brought under legislative and audit scrutiny. The Supreme Court's notice came on a PIL filed by an NGO represented by lawyers Prashant Bhushan and Anil Diwan.
These agencies are being misused for political purposes by the parties and the governments in power by means of having surveillance over opposition leaders, by way of helping the ruling parties, governments in the states, destabilizing opposition parties, governments in the states, etc.
Both the Intelligence Bureau and the RAW function independently of Parliament, although old-timers argue that both the agencies have external oversight.
Democratic systems do have parliamentary oversight, but then you need accountability as a measure of reform, not as a measure of control. What we are making, I think we are going down the wrong road here.
Yet, there have been calls for reforms in the functioning of these agencies earlier too. In a detailed analysis, the Institute of Defence Studies and Analysis had said in 2012 that the agencies must remove functioning deficiencies, ensure accountability and oversight, get Parliament to lay down Charter of Duty, and ensure financial probity. Intelligence operatives disagree. Most say these agencies have a different requirement than any other government department, and the usual government rules cannot apply to them. Given such divergent views, it will be interesting to see what the centre tells the Supreme Court in 6 weeks. In New Delhi, Nitin Gokhale for NDTV.
And so is it time for greater scrutiny of India's intelligence agencies? Should they be brought under parliamentary oversight? Should the CNAG be looking at their finances? We have two former spooks, as it were, joining us in the studio this evening. Mr. RSN Singh, former RAW officer and strategic affairs expert. Mr. VK Singh, ex-joint secretary with RAW. And in fact, Mr. VK Singh, if you remember, wrote that rather controversial book on the working of the agency some years ago, and for which many former intelligence officers attacked him. But he did talk about greater transparency and the need to end the kind of veil of secrecy around intelligence agencies in great detail. But I wanted to ask, Mr. Prashant Bhushan first, what is the main reason that you're pressing for this greater scrutiny at this time?
You see, the role of intelligence agencies and the manner in which they have been misused by successive governments has been the subject of several books which have been written by insiders, by even directors of these agencies, about how these agencies have been used for the political ends of the ruling government and the ruling party. As I said, to destabilize opposition governments, to help the ruling party shore up its numbers among MLAs, etc., to have surveillance on opposition leaders, and enormous sums are expended on these agencies, tens of thousands of crores, of which there is no accountability, no audit. People have reported how these officers have been buying whiskey for 50,000 rupees a bottle, etc., and consuming it out of the funds of these agencies. How crores and crores are just siphoned out of these agencies by saying that these are secret funds that have been paid to secret agents, secret foreign agents, etc. How can you have this kind of system where crores are just siphoned out of the system with no audit, no accountability whatsoever of any outside agency? The CAG Act provides that all expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India must be audited by the CAG. All this money is going out of the Consolidated Fund, and yet the CAG is not being allowed to audit the funds of these agencies,
okay,
which, as I said, run into tens of thousands of crores.